The new Keys AM 660.
The Bakken is talking. And now here's your host, D. James.
Thank you, Thomas Willenbring. It is 8 minutes past the hour on a Monday edition of The Bakken is Talking, and that means it is Mental Health Monday. And Lorraine Pursell is in the studio with me, and as she is getting settled in here, Thomas, I want to ask you a question, and then I'll be asking Lorraine several questions for the rest of this hour, and maybe even we'll possibly have some callers to call in with their questions at 774-0306 or 1-800-238-0306.
So what's your question?
How was your weekend?
Good, kind of quiet, and just spent it packing for my vacation that begins in 2 days. So looking forward to that. Besides that, it was kind of quiet. How about yours?
Well, it was quiet and restful.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed. I value quiet.
Yes,
I
same
really,
here.
really do, and I know you do too.
Yep.
And got a lot of rest
Mm-hmm.
because I knew I'd need to kind of get rested up because you're leaving for a
Flying
warmer
the coop.
for a warmer climate.
Yeah.
And so you took in a movie this weekend.
Yes, I did. While I was trying to figure out something to do and trying to figure out how to beat cabin fever, I went out and saw Saving Mr. Banks, which was a movie that I was actually recommended by you yourself, Dee, and it was excellent. It was just flat out excellent. I think Tom Hanks should get the Oscar for that.
I agree.
If he doesn't, it's a crime.
I agree. It was not a disappointment. I was not disappointed in it at all.
And I'm not going to give away the whole plot for you, but in case you haven't seen it yet, it chronicles how Walt Disney, back in the early 60s, tried to secure the movie rights for Mary Poppins.
Mm-hmm. And it also gives a lot of insight into the lady that wrote the Mary Poppins books.
It really does.
And I loved how it went back and forth. The movie just kind of went back and forth from scenes from her childhood to scenes from the 1960s with Walt Disney and the whole process of making Mary Poppins. It was just a delight.
And it does show the contrast of where she was as a kid versus what she had become as she gotten older. And of course, without giving anything away, it's just very well done.
Yes, I agree. Very well done. The acting, all the actors just did a superb job. Every one of them.
Yep.
In the movie. So even if it doesn't win any awards, it gets number one in my book.
It's number one in your heart.
Yeah. Mary Poppins is one of my favorite movies, as well as The Sound of Music. Actually, The Sound of Music, Thomas, was the first movie in a theater that I remember attending.
Really?
I was a baby. I remember being carried in my my big brother's arms to go see The Sound of Music.
Gives you listeners kind of a perspective on how old he is, too.
So there's some nostalgia for you there and some reminiscing. So I want to turn now to Lorraine, and she's over here just frantically writing. She's sitting next to me writing notes, taking notes, and getting ready for Mental Health Monday. And Lorraine, how was your weekend? My friend.
Boy, I was actually in bed most of the weekend. I was recovering.
I am so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, once in a while your body just has to go, lay down, girl.
And I hope that you were gentle with yourself.
Oh, thank you. Let's see, was I gentle with myself? Saturday, not really, until I got to spend the evening with my grandchildren. I gave my son and daughter-in-law a date night. I do that every Saturday night. I watch the kids so they can go out on a date night. Very, very healthy. All you mommies and daddies out there, be sure you do that once a week, at least twice a month. And then Sunday, I canceled everything because I couldn't drive with my Jeep because I got blown off the road the last time it was this windy. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to risk that again. Mm-hmm. So I just stayed in
and you were gentle with yourself.
I think I probably was. Yeah.
Good, because that's one of your tips of the week, and so we want to remind everyone to just, when you're feeling down, when you don't feel at the best that you can be. Just be gentle with yourself, and it works. It really does. I love your column, Lorraine, and I love that I can read your column in the Friday Herald. And I also want to tell folks that maybe don't already know that you are Lorraine Pursell. You're a relationship coach, parent mentor, and educational therapist. You've been helping individuals, couples, and families find inner and outer harmony since 1995. And you've got a great column, as always, in the Williston Herald Friday edition.
Thank you.
Even if you fail. And I love that every Monday for Mental Health Monday, we kind of use your column, your Friday column, as kind of a springboard to get into our program every Monday afternoon.
Yes.
And can we start with that?
I'd love to.
Okay. All right, let's do that. Even If You Fail is the title of it, and you say you ask two questions. And the first question that you're asking in this article, and I had to ponder these myself for a little while, but you say that the first question, what is worth doing even if you fail?
Yes, ma'am.
What is worth doing even if you fail? And your response, and you said you knew it instantly when you read this question in a book. Was it a book?
Yeah,
tell us how.
Brene Brown is. She's a social worker. She's written several books, and her body of research is on vulnerability. And her most recent book is called "Daring Greatly," which is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, and it comes from his concept of, picture the Colosseum with the lion and the humans in there, and we're just sweating it out, right? But we're out there daring greatly. We are daring greatly while there are these armchair critics sitting back and maybe criticizing us because they don't have the courage or whatever. But daring greatly is the process of getting in there and doing it, even if you fail over and over and over and over again. And that question, what will you do? What is worth doing even if you fail? Is the thing that just is your must. You have to. Like even if you fail, you must keep going with it. Maybe it's raising your child well. Maybe it's being a great wife to your husband. Maybe it's being a great husband to your wife. Maybe it's knowing that you have a calling that you need to give, that you need to serve. That is what is worth doing, even if you fail.
It's like a passion.
Yes.
Your calling, you said, it's maybe a passion. It's, and a definition of a calling, I heard this once and I never forgot it. It just keeps calling you.
Will you hang up, please? Sometimes we wish it would. And it's so funny because that calling isn't something for egotistical gains or personal glorification. It's something that's altruistic, really, ultimately. Even if it is to be famous, even if it is to be on the spotlight or in the stage, because you can't help yourself. You have to do it. You have to do it. And I don't know if David edited that. Does it say that I sobbed when I read it?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to talk more about, even if I fail, your column in Friday's Williston Herald. We're going to talk more about your response to that question, how I answer that question, and maybe how some folks listening might answer that question. What is worth doing even if you fail? We'll continue our conversation with Lorraine Pursell on The Bakken is Talking on the new Keys AM 660.
The Bakken is Talking. Finally, interactive and intelligent talk is here on your news and information source for Williston and the Bakken. The new Keys AM 660.
Welcome back to The Bakken is Talking, 21 minutes past the hour on a Monday, January 27th. And in the studio with me is Lorraine Pursell. A positive mental note, that is your offering every Friday in the Williston Herald. And your question is, what is worth doing even if you fail? That's the first question, because you had two in this column. What is worth doing even if you fail? And you knew instantly what the answer was.
Yeah.
to travel the terrain of openness and vulnerability and to coax others along with me and to grow in loving compassion and gentleness for ourselves. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's telling. And first of all, it's Brene Brown's quote. I just quoted her from her book, Daring Greatly, which I recommend, by the way. I read that question. She was in the wings of going up on the TED Talks in Houston. She was going to do a TED Talk. And she was petrified. She was so afraid because even though she'd been studying vulnerability, it was like, okay, I can just study it and leave it over here. I don't have to be vulnerable myself. And then that question came to her, what is worth doing even if I fail? And it was what she was about to deliver on the stage at the TED Talk. And when I sensed her vulnerability, when she quoted that in the book, I just started sobbing. And, I know that's my path. It has been my path ever since I, got over myself in my 20s. And 20s were pretty arrogant years, but truly insecure years. When people are arrogant, they're insecure. And so I've been on this path since my 30s of being open and humble and vulnerable. And, it's like I've got nothing to hide. Anything you want to know about me, I will tell you. If my life can be an offering to encourage and uplift you, it's yours. And because I'm not here for me. I mean, I'm here for me, of course, but I mean, I'm here to be used by God. I'm here to be a servant on the planet. I'm not being humble when I say that. I'm just saying a fact. It's like that is my calling. And I sobbed when I read that quote as she was getting ready to get on stage in front of these, the biggest and the brightest and the best that America has to offer was in her audience. And here was this little woman who'd never really spoken in live before, I think, at that point. And she goes, this is worth doing even if I fail. And I knew, that just traveling that terrain of being open and vulnerable and having gentleness and compassion for myself and for others, and to coax other people to have gentleness and compassion for themselves. Because I think in the second paragraph there, I say, we're supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. And whoa, no wonder the planet's in such a mess, because we need to love ourselves first. It's like, that's the imperative. But we think there's something wrong with that. Our society's got it all messed up. And it's like, oh, no. Only if we love ourselves from that depth, from that well, do we have something to even offer.
We have to love ourselves. And many times, Lorraine, we have quoted the Bible and we've quoted scripture on this program. And I think you said here in the article that Jesus said, love yourself, and then love your neighbor. Oh, okay, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the way you said it. And then you said poor neighbor. Why don't we love ourselves, Lorraine?
Well, from the time we were brought up, we're pretty much taught, don't be conceited, don't brag. And, I'm here to tell you, Will Rogers said, if it's true, it's not bragging. He was the old cowboy from the old West, Will Rogers. Mm-hmm. And, I just think there's something so valuable in looking in the mirror and smiling at yourself. In fact, there was a Stanford study done where that was all that was done to the mental patients. They were instructed to stand in front of the mirror for, I think it was 20 minutes a day, and just smile at themselves. And they all healed.
They just looking in the mirror and smiling at themselves, and they were healed.
Yeah.
From their whatever mental condition that they were suffering from.
It was over. I don't know how long it took, but if we just challenge ourselves to go to the mirror and look in the mirror and smile at ourselves, how long does that last? The first thing we're going, oh no, look at those wrinkles. Oh, that gray hair, all that stuff. Can we just stand there and look in the mirror and smile at ourselves? I just challenge you, dear listeners, to do that and practice that. If you can do that every day. And I'm able to do that when I'm walking in, what is it? Openness and vulnerability and honesty and gentleness and compassion with myself. And man, I just love myself,
I like this paragraph that you in this column. You said loving others could be your life's purpose, but before you go there, love yourself enough to give yourself your life's purpose, which is what you would do even if you fail and what you have to do so you can live with yourself. And that kind of led into your second question in the article. What must you do to live with yourself?
Yeah, really big. Really big. I came to that question. I actually invented that question. It happened in 1994 when, this is when my whole life changed. My mother called me on a Friday and she said, I've turned yellow and either I'm jaundiced or I have pancreatic cancer. We won't know till Monday. And I said, okay, you let me know. As soon as I find out, I will be on the next plane. And so I got my son taken care of. And with his dad, we were divorced, and so he was in good hands. And I flew right down and took care of her because it was B. And I took care of her from diagnosis to death. I was a primary caregiver, and I had never in my life done anything so meaningful up until that point. And in those 9 months, my mom and I got to know each other for the first time. She admitted to me, I never got to know you before. I was the oldest of 4. Those of you who are oldest know that, sometimes it's hard for your parents to have time to get to know you. So you're kind of a sub-mother or sub-father. And we just had the time of our life. And after she died and I got back home, there was such a hole. And that's where I went forward to, go on to be an educational therapist and get my master's in marriage, family, and child counseling and begin giving back to other people because I wanted to continue making that difference. But, that thing of just getting on the plane, no questions asked, it wasn't even a choice. It's that thing where there is no choice. You aren't choosing. You aren't deciding, well, should I, shouldn't I? You're just like, I'm on that plane. It's like an imperative. Like when you're giving birth, you just know, you've got to get to the hospital or whatever it is for you. It's an instinct. And it's like, you've got to do whatever you've got to do to live with yourself. I could no more have not gone down there and taken care of my mom than, it's just not even an option. So we do what we need to do in order to live with ourselves. Because if I'd talked myself out of it, I would not be able to live with myself.
I want to talk more about this, Lorraine, but we've got to take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk more about these questions that you're asking of us. What is worth doing even if you fail? And what must you do to live with yourself? And we will discuss more about those questions with Lorraine Pursell on The Bakken is Talking when we return on the new Keys AM 660.
You won't miss a thing. News, talk, weather, and sports. Get it here on your news and information source for Williston and the Bakken. The new Keys AM 660.
Welcome back to The Bakken is Talking. 39 minutes past the hour on Monday, January 27th, and it is Mental Health Monday, and that means Lorraine Pursell is in the studio with me, and we are having a great visit, and I'm so glad that you're tuned in as well. And as always, you're invited to join in the conversation if you have a question, 774-0306 or 1-800-238-0306. In her latest column from the Williston Herald, it's titled "Even If You Fail," Friday's column. And we've been talking about this. I do want to remind you that Lorraine has so much to offer as far as she's here with us every Monday, Mental Health Monday. You have the column in the Williston Herald. What else? I mean, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, I do. Well, I'm pretty sure I have another class coming up soon, but yeah, okay. I do a parenting thing. I'm a parent mentor. I've got an online coaching program. I do local classes. I'm going to be in a national telesummit which is all parenting experts getting together, talking about raising teenage girls with healthy body self-image. I'm one of the expert speakers. And so if you'd like to have more information of that, I invite you to what I call uplift your inbox and go to my website, LorrainePursell.com. That's LORRAINE. P as in Paul, U-R, S as in Sam, E-L-L, LorrainePursell.com. There's a little box in the upper right-hand corner. Just put your name and your email, and I'll be sending you all these offerings. You'll get this radio show in your inbox. You'll get the Williston article in your inbox. It's called In Harmony. And then you'll also get Parent Secrets, which is my weekly parent offering. And then, notifications of the classes that I have going on. And by the next break, I'll look in my phone and find out when my next class is. I'll tell you about that one.
Okay, we'll get that information on before we end our visit this afternoon, Lorraine. In your column, you said, I love what you said here. It's the path and the journey, not the destination. That's the goal. So we're all on a life journey. We're on a life journey.
Yeah, and I have been one of those that have been so stress, push, type A. And again, that was from my insecurities in my 20s. But, the longer I've lived, I just realized that there is no destination. It's only the journey. And that takes a whole bunch of pressure off. We don't have to arrive somewhere. If we are at peace and happy with ourselves every day, and do our best to make the others around us, lift their spirits, you've done it. That's it.
And each one of us have a path that is custom designed,
I believe so.
Just for us.
I believe so.
No one else has the same life
No,
path.
I don't think so.
But at the same time, Lorraine, I feel that I want to make a difference in this life.
Mm-hmm.
I so want to make a difference.
That's beautiful. That's my personal imperative. I just,
And when you get a certain age, you realize how quickly life passes by, and you only have a certain amount of time left. So let's get to it, because I want to make a difference in this world.
Yeah. Well, I have something to say about that. When I came out to Williston to be with my son and daughter-in-law and 3 grandchildren, I made a deal with God. I said, look, I'm 60. I want another 60. So, I fully intend on going out at 120, kicking my heels and wrestling with my grandkids. And by then I'll know my children's or whatever. But, I want to have that much more time on the planet to give. Mm. And I'm wondering, from our listeners, what is your imperative? What is it that's worth doing even if you fail? And what is it that you've done so that you could live with yourself?
Well, for me, Lorraine, it was moving here with my husband. It was following my husband here to Williston, mm-hmm. and leaving our home, selling our home, which I loved.
I know.
And I hear that many, many women in Williston and the Bakken that have moved here and followed their husbands or their significant other, that they feel that's what they say. They loved their home.
Yeah.
But they did not want to live separate from their husbands or their significant other. Their boyfriend. They did not want to stay there, but they knew that to live with themselves, and I knew to live with myself, I was moving here. And so I guess that would be my answer to that mm-hmm. question. But I wonder, as you do, what are some of the other, mm-hmm. what are listeners, what's the answer for them?
Because we as human beings do such amazing things when the opportunity arises. If the opportunity doesn't arise, we're really good at being lazy and doing whatever we don't need to do.
Well, we get in a comfort zone, don't mm-hmm. we, Lorraine? Yeah. I mean, it's a comfort zone. It would have been so easy to just stay in my little, I call it my little hobbit hole in the Shire, and just stay there. But we're being stretched, And if we're not stretched, if we're not challenged, if we don't rise to those challenges, then do we grow as human beings? We miss that opportunity to grow, do we not?
I think there's really something to be said for that, Dee. There is a time and a place for just sitting back and experiencing joy and relaxation, and then pretty soon that gets old and you start to feel lackadaisical and like you want to get on with something else, and that's when more challenges will come. So we do this cycle of growth, relaxation, coasting, and then joy, and then growth, and then relaxation, and then joy. And so we are growth-seeking beings. Human beings are growth-seeking beings. And so there might be some people that are just content with sitting in front of the TV. That's not me. It never has been me. No, I can't say that. There have been times, like when I was a kid, that was, a lot of it. But not since I kind of woke up. And I guess what that means is, spiritually waking up in consciousness. And, I also want to say, even though I quote the Bible, I what I mean when I say things and I say God and I say Jesus, I just mean whatever that is for you, because there is, or maybe it's you to you. Maybe you're an atheist and for you, it's you. And that's all I'm talking about. It's that thing that's bigger than you.
That higher power.
Mm-hmm. Or if it's not a higher power for you, it's you. So I'm not ever singling out any religion. I'm only talking about what it means to be on the planet as a human being in a spiritual world.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have to take a break, Lorraine. One more.
Goes so fast.
One more break, and when we come back, we will continue our discussion with Lorraine Pursell on The Bakken is Talking on the new Keys AM 660.
The Bakken is Talking. Live regional news, talk, and guest. Weekdays at 1 p.m. with D. James on your news and information source for Williston and the Bakken. The new Keys AM 660.
We are back 9 minutes before the hour, and make it 8 minutes now. We're wrapping up Mental Health Monday with Lorraine Pursell. Lorraine, you have so much going on right now. You have your column in the Williston Herald every Friday. You are on The Bakken is Talking for Mental Health Monday. What else have you got coming up?
Well, I have 3 classes coming up, as a matter of fact, Dee. One of them is just this Saturday at Williston State College. You can register at LorrainePursell.com, the events tab, and you can just go there and just get in. It's called Bully Proof Your Child, and this is a really popular talk that I did in California, both Southern California and Northern California. And it's all about how do we instill resiliency in our children when we have no control over what happens to them the minute they leave our door or the minute they leave our car to go to school. So how do we prepare our children at home to love themselves enough that if someone is to come to them and bully them, tease them, that they almost come from a place of, gee, I wonder why you're so unhappy that you have to pick on me. And they almost have this heart of compassion for the person who's doing the teasing and antagonizing. So that's a fabulous class. It's coming up this Saturday, February 1st at Williston State College. It goes from 10 to 1:30. And I think it's $37. And so be sure and go there and sign up for that. I have a free class on Friday, February 14th at the library, at Williston Community Library, called How to Have Valentine's Sweet Kids. And it's the secrets of how do we bring out our children's sweetness.
Now that sounds interesting, Lorraine.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting. And then on March 1st, just when I get back from starting to write my book for Morgan James Publisher in New York, I'm going to be teaching another class called The Secrets to Making Marriage Work. And when I say marriage work, I mean just partnership, relationships, couples. You can be married or not married. Mm-hmm. So that is on Saturday, March 1st at Williston State College. And you can register for that also online at LorrainePursell.com under the events tab. And that also goes from 10 to 1:30.
All right.
So that's what I've got going up.
Well, as we wind down our visit this afternoon, Lorraine, for this being our last visit together in January,
Wow.
even what is worth doing even if you fail, and what must you do to live with yourself? We've talked about those two questions today. Any final thoughts, Lorraine, for our listeners?
Yeah, just take a moment and go deep. Go deep within yourself and try to find that deep, still lake within you. Like there's a lake in California, I think it is, Tahoe, Crater Lake. And it's so deep. It's so deep. Find that deep, still place within yourself and ask yourself those questions. Just, do it for yourself. It's going to be doing so much for your self-esteem, for your personhood. And those are my final thoughts.
Ask ourselves those two questions.
Yeah.
And I did that. As I read your column, Lorraine, I just sat and I pondered those questions. What is worth doing even if you fail? And what must you do to live with yourself? And I pondered those questions, and it takes a little, you have to spend some time, don't you, Lorraine, to just kind of to ask yourself those questions, to love yourself, and I think that's a part of what you're saying here in this column. Is we need to love ourselves.
Well, and
I really, Lorraine, it's hard for me. I have to admit, I have to just say, I don't give myself I know I don't. I know that I have attributes, but I don't acknowledge them.
that would be a great assignment for every listener to write 10 things that they really appreciate about themselves. With my clients as a relationship coach and a personal harmony coach, when I give that assignment to my clients, they're stuck. And you should have 20, 40, 50, 80 things that you appreciate about yourself. And it's when we do those things that we must do that our love and appreciation for ourselves does grow.
If folks want to contact you, how do they do that? Just give us your information before we say goodbye today.
Great. 808-936-4370. Area code 808-936-4370, or theparentmentor@gmail.com. Theparentmentor@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you, Lorraine Pursell. It's been a great Mental Health Monday. Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you, Dee, for having me.
And tomorrow on The Bakken is Talking, we will feature, as always, our law enforcement correspondent, Mr. Corey Collings, Williston Police Detective Corey Collings. And also, we'll be talking Entertainment Inc. with B. Michael Qualley. Tomorrow